Geordie Journo's back here at the Newcastle training ground where Eddie Howe's just done, I think, his 30th press conference in the last 3
You can
weeks.
see from our faces we're a bit tired of this.
Tired. It's windy outside, so we're inside on the 3G.
Yeah, we'll give you a quick look at this. I mean, not many people have seen this, the indoor training.
Yeah, it's right next to the media room where we do the press conference. And Eddie Howe, to be honest, it's very much the calm after the storm, after the PSG game on Wednesday night. So much to talk about surrounding that, and then going into West Ham on Sunday, the trip to West Ham United back in the Premier League. But Eddie Howe didn't really have too much to say in terms of major newsy updates or injury lines. Same situation as PSG really, where Callum Wilson and Joelinton face their fitness tests, and the rest, Harvey Barnes, Joe Willock, Sven Botman and Anthony Gordon, who we'll get on to, being suspended, those 4 are out. And I'll start with Anthony Gordon, Jordan, because he's been such an important player for Newcastle this season, and 5 yellow cards in 7 Premier League games. He was also booked quite harshly, in my opinion, against PSG. But that is a little bit excessive. And my question, Eddie Howe, was, is the sense of frustration or lessons to be learned for Anthony Gordon after picking up so many bookings? And Eddie Howe was sort of replied, looking at the rules of the Premier League and how bookings are considerably more harsh this season. But Anthony Gordon, Jordan, not having him, that's going to be a big miss. Yeah,
huge miss. Look, I think it's been widely recognised that he's been one of Newcastle's best players this season. A hell of a transformation over the summer. Obviously joining January from Everton and really struggled to get going. But as I say, since the summer went away with England, player of the tournament, obviously won the under-21s European Championships, and has just came back flying. And as I say, it probably has been Newcastle's best player. So to not have him against West Ham is a major blow, especially on top of that with Harvey Barnes as well. It would have been a good opportunity for Harvey Barnes to come in and get his Newcastle career going, but obviously that we won't see him until next year. So Newcastle are very light on that left hand side, and it does look like it'll probably be a Jacob Murphy that comes in, or potentially, do you rotate Elliot Anderson out there and keep the midfield the same, because Sandro Tonali is another player that probably needs Premier League games to adapt to the English game as well. So no, it's a massive blow, not just because of Gordon's quality, but the lack of options behind him. So, but what I would say on that as well is I do think it's a very good opportunity to get him rested. I thought it was really disappointing to see him left out of the England squad. Yeah. Maybe he might still be called up depending on Bukayo Saka's fitness potentially, but it looks like he will miss out. It's disappointing for the player, but I think from a selfish Newcastle United point of view, I think it's an opportunity to rest him probably for a week or so. He didn't get a rest from the back end of last season. He was straight in the European Championships, obviously straight into the Premier League starting 11 here as well. So yeah, it's a big blow, but it is an opportunity to get him rested, and I'm sure he'll benefit from that going forward. Yeah, and just on the England squad, Eddie Howe touched on it. He was asked about it, and after the month Newcastle have had since the last international break, winning 5 games, drawing the 1 at the San Siro against AC Milan, 5 clean sheets in that time. Like, what more does Nick Pope have to do to get back in the squad? And something you touched on, Jordan, Sean Longstaff as well, he's playing himself into contention as well. No, absolutely. I think he shouldn't be too far away. I think if you're looking at sort of a Jordan Henderson type player in that England team, he's sort of come towards the latter end of his career. Obviously going to Saudi Arabia is a decision that has been questioned from a footballing point of view, but do you look at Sean Longstaff as a potential replacement for a Jordan Henderson? Because the way Sean Longstaff has played over the last 18 months, he has absolutely played his way in England contention. He is the fittest midfielder in the Premier League in terms of what he gives Newcastle. His physical endurance, his energy, the way he presses, he almost epitomises what Eddie Howe wants from that midfield. So I think he's got to be in the England conversation. But if you're looking away from that, Gareth Southgate at the minute has his regulars, and I don't think Sean Longstaff quite fits in at the moment, because Southgate rather go for Jordan Henderson. But I do think in years to come, if Sean Longstaff continues to stay at this level, he's got every chance of getting in that England squad. He brings so much to this team, the Newcastle team, and he can bring so much to England as well. But on the England squad, just quickly, I mentioned to you in the press conference, don't talk about Callum Wilson, obviously left out of the England squad this time round. I don't know if it might be a hint to Sunday, is Callum Wilson going to be available? If I'm left out of the England squad, it might actually be a hint that he's not, but you made a good point to say that, look, Callum Wilson could come back Sunday, but you've got obviously an Ollie Watkins who has consistently over the last few weeks been scoring goals for fun.
Yeah, and he's fully fit as well. Callum Wilson, look, he's barely had an injury all year, which is unlike him. But if there's any player who would turn what Eddie Howe has described as a very minor hamstring injury into a sort of 3-4 week injury, Callum Wilson, he's been there before. So Newcastle will be careful with him, and that's probably why he hasn't been called up to the England squad, because he has been in good form this season, scored quite a few 4 goals for Newcastle, and has such a good record against West Ham. So if he could play, it will be a massive boost. 12 and 13
12 and 13
against West
incredible.
Ham, which is an absolutely incredible record in the Premier League. And he scored 2 down at the London Stadium last year, coming into the side when he wasn't necessarily in form, and that sort of kick-started his run towards the back end of the season, which he hasn't really looked back from since. Yeah. And you just hope this injury, very minor as Eddie Howe says, doesn't sort of stop him in his tracks, and he can come back and be fit and firing and back among the goals. Because even if he doesn't play this weekend, the sort of 2-week break after that, after such an intense period for Newcastle United, playing so many games, 3 game weeks, pretty much every week since the last international break, it's going to be beneficial to get the likes of Sven Botman, Joelinton, another injury concern with his hamstring, and Callum Wilson back. And you'd expect to see the 3 of them back, if not very close, by the time we play Crystal Palace after the international break.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Big players. Newcastle have done so well over the last few weeks because they've consistently been picking up injuries, or gradually picking up injuries, and they managed to put this unbelievable run of form together. Say that Wednesday night, we've had a couple of days to reflect now, still incredible, still reliving it on YouTube, watching the highlights. I think I must have watched the highlights back about 5 or 6 times now. It really was an incredible night, and the question is now is how do Newcastle put them behind them and focus on the West Ham game, because they give so much on Wednesday, and going to West Ham it'll be difficult.
Yeah, it's tough, because I think this period of football, certainly probably the best period of football I can remember, certainly covering the club, if not beyond that, following the club for a number of years, because you just been to the San Siro, Jordan. We've watched Newcastle play in the Champions League. We've seen Newcastle beat the best team in the world in Man City, obviously a changed team. Seen them beat PSG, and then they pick up their biggest ever Premier League win, joint biggest Premier League win. It's been absolutely incredible, and if they can just round it off with a win at West Ham, that would be the sort of icing on the top of the cake. It's going to be tough. West Ham are a good team in good form, so yeah, it's going to be a tough test. But yeah, PSG, it was incredible. And a player, I know you shouted out Dan Burn, Liam likes to talk about Sean Longstaff. I think my player is Fabian Schär, who didn't get the chance to talk about him properly on Wednesday night, but that goal, incredible. £3 million from Deportivo a few years ago. He sort of frozen out under Steve Bruce for a period, and for me, he's 31 years old. Newcastle need to get that contract sorted. He's out of contract at the end of the season, but since Eddie Howe's come in, certainly since the start of last season, he has been top 3 centre-backs in the Premier League, in my opinion. And I think, as good as Sven Botman's been, look, I love Sven Botman, he's been incredible young defender. Fabian Schär has raised the bar, and he makes Sven Botman look good and look a better player, and make him...
Got a great partnership.
Yes, exactly. And I think he's just incredible. And Eddie Howe was asked about him and didn't really address the sort of bargain side of things. I've said a few times before, I think it's one of Newcastle's greatest ever signings, pound for pound.
100%.
But yeah, you're looking at Sven Botman as a ball-playing centre-back. Are there many better? Are there any centre-backs in world football? There are a few, but there's not many who can sort of win the ball back 60 yards from goal, play a 1-2 with an attacking player and curl it top right-hand corner from 20-25 yards. Okay, he did lose his footing, but he's done it before. And he'll probably do it again. And I just think, special shout out to him. He was my player of the season last season, and hopefully he continue this good form and Newcastle can give him a new contract. But yeah, enough about my Fabian Schär loving.
Lovely way to end this video.
Yeah, we'll see you at West Ham on Sunday, early morning train. We're trying to do it on the day,
yes.
There and back. It's going to be quite hectic, quite tight. We'll be joined by our fellow Geordie journal Liam Kennedy, as always, for the matches. It's too big time for these press conferences, just me and Jordan. But yeah, we'll see you there. But in the meantime, thank you for all your support on our latest video. Incredible comments, interaction, and goes on the back of an incredible period for Newcastle. So yeah, please continue watching, like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, do all that, and we'll see you at West Ham on Sunday.